everybody, it's Christina Marie Weber, and I run a company called Christian Biz Owners on Fire, and we help faith-based and spiritual business owners who want a more prosperous and fulfilling business or ministry while keeping God, their purpose, and their relationships first on a daily basis. So here we talk about everything that intersects what's going to help you achieve your holistic vision, your business and your personal vision. So those of you that have been following us, what we do is once a month I create an educational video, and I do it around either a direct question someone has asked me, a prospect, a client, someone following me, or it's something that I've kind of observed in the business world that I think relates to a lot of different business owners, or just something that I think would be of value. If I were to create, kind of in our scope here, if I were to create an educational video. And so that's what we're going to do today. So the topic here is, whose agenda is it? And that gets into being scattered, feeling like you're treading water or you're on a hamster wheel. A lot of times the culprit there can be you're following an agenda and you don't even really know whose agenda it is. You don't even know where. It's not even your own agenda, and it's really easy to do. So let me kind of give you a little background of why I picked this topic this time. So there's an organization here. It's not the Chamber of Commerce, but it's like a sister organization really geared more to small businesses. It's a great organization, and they have a really great marketing kind of recruiting director. And she used to work on a cruise ship, so she's really good at talking in front of a crowd, really enthusiastic, and they have really great leadership there. They've really grown that business tremendously, and they have a lot of networking events. So she was speaking at an event, really kind of promoting this organization, and one of the things she was doing is rattling off all of the networking events that they do, this luncheon and this deal and this after hours and da da da. There's like a 6 or 7 regular events, and kind of similar to the chamber. And as I was listening to her, and I've been to some of these events, and they're great. I'm a fan of networking within reason amount of networking. Anyway, so it's a great organization, but I was feeling very overwhelmed as I was listening to her, because I understand when I go to a networking event, really to get anything out of it, I need to do some preparation, I need to do some follow-up. Otherwise, it's really could be a big time killer. So as she was talking about all these, events, and everyone was getting all excited, and I know people that go to tons of networking events, but a lot of times their business isn't going that great because they really aren't really looking at what they're doing and is it driving them back to their goals. So that's where I could see where you get emotional and like, oh, this would be definitely something I need to do. For me, it would be a disaster. It's just not where I'm going right now in my business. I'm trying to move a little bit away from offline networking. I still do it, but I don't want to pack my schedule with 6 networking events at a time. And as a entrepreneur, of course, you may just want to belong to something just to support that organization. Well, I'm trying to be pretty lean with what I do, so I have to really evaluate: am I going to use this service, membership, professional organization? And if I am, great, I'll invest in it. If not, it's really easy to spread yourself thin from a time standpoint and from a financial standpoint, getting swooped up into somebody else's agenda. Their agenda is to offer a lot so that people will find value and join their group, and that's great. But it really, that overwhelmed feeling is not something I want to do. I don't want to sign up for something and then feel like, oh, I'm not doing all the things, and have it make me feel stressful. So we're going to talk about, this happens all the time. We can get swooped into decisions, commitments, things we're buying, really not based on somebody else's primary agenda. Like, it's really good for that organization to have lots of members, but is it really good for me to be a member of that organization? That's what we're going to talk about right now. So we're going to really go into what is the root cause of the problem of being swooped up in somebody else's agenda. what are the culprits? Where are you getting pulled in all these different directions? And what are some concrete examples that you can observe potentially in yourself or others that might be a signal that you're operating on somebody else's agenda and sacrificing your own? So first, the first point here is it's really easy to get derailed on implementing your agenda when you're fuzzy about your vision. So when you're in an exploratory phase, yeah, you want to try a lot of different things. But when you've dialed in your vision, you need to be very discerning about what you do, what you don't do, how you show up, how you're going to invest your time, how you're going to invest your money. And part of the problem of why people get swooped up into somebody else's agenda, maybe it's okay, it's an okay decision, but every yes over here is a no over there. So what are you saying no to if you say yes to that? And they don't think about that. And part of it is because they're just not really clear about that holistic vision. So, and the problem with that, ideas are cheap, but its implementation that's where you get your vision done. And it's very difficult to implement your vision if you're doing everybody and their dog's agenda and you're putting your agenda on the lower priority list. So another element of that is a big problem with failure to implement, and it has to do with focus. So even if maybe I signed up for that group but I only went to one thing or whatever, it's distracting to know, there's all these different things and I'm paying this membership and I'm not so it's not even just whether you show up to something. Is being involved in something or making a decision, is that creating a distraction so that you're not as focused? Because that's going to affect you being able to do your agenda. The second point, so the first one is it's easy to get derailed on somebody else's agenda if your vision's foggy. The next point here is let's start to identify who are these agenda hijackers. I just mentioned one, vendors. I mean, that person is selling that organization. But this can happen with a lot of different vendors. You can have this social media support person and they're selling this way to help your business with that. Or you can have the business coach that can help you in this way. Or you can have the financial advisor, or you could have whatever. So what can happen is, and I think this is where really having high integrity is good, because there's many of those professionals that truly want to understand what your needs are and meet your agenda, and they're very professional and high quality and high integrity. But there's a lot of them that don't really either take the time to know what your needs are, or their primary focus is what my needs are. Like, I need a certain number of sales, I need a certain number of clients. So if I get somebody that's not that great of a fit, but I can persuade them to sign on with me, then that's okay, and it's okay for them. But if the person that signed on, if it's not aligned, they're being distracted from their agenda and they're going in with the vendor's agenda. So vendors are a big one. So and I think it's really important to clarify, or to really discern when you're going to make any kind of a commitment or investment. And if you don't have criteria on what you're looking for, you'll easily get swayed. I think there's a lot of parallel to this to finding a mate. If you're kind of broad brush, like, well, whoever, I don't know exactly what I want. Then you go out there, well, this person's kind of got this quality I like, and this person has quality, and you're flipping around all over, but you're not really zoning in or even filtering for, well, what are your most important criteria? It's the same thing with sales or any kind of things you're going to make a financial or time commitment to. So the other little agenda hijackers, and I don't care, I'm talking to adults here, your parents. Are you even in a field that it's really your agenda? Or are you doing a career? Are you making choices in your life, where you live, how you do things, based on your parents' agenda? What they would really want you to be doing, or how you're making the family look, or whatever. That can be a real drag Because my point is, we can do our own agenda, and when it's the Holy Spirit inspired agenda, it's just a little bit out of our capacity. We really need God's additional help to do it. But we can't do our agenda and everybody else's agenda at the same time. So if you really haven't cut the cord from your parents, and I'm not saying cut them out of your life, I mean defined who you are as a person, a daughter or son of that parent, but you're not that parent, and you don't have to fulfill the dreams of that parent. You're your own person. If you haven't done that yet, you very well could be operating on the agenda of your parent. You could be operating on the agenda of the entrepreneur next door. What's so and so doing? Well, they're going to this, or they joined this group, or they are doing this marketing, whatever. That can be incredibly distracting. The entrepreneur online. Okay, what's this? You know, and it can be combined with vendor. Like, well, look how successful that person is. They've got all this fancy stuff, or they do these big events, or whatever. And it can be very much. You can easily get emotionally swooped up in this, and then get involved in some things that really you think they're moving you towards your agenda, but a lot of times the decisions are made on emotion and frankly manipulation, and you didn't see it coming. And again, the remedy, the more solid you are on what you really want, even if it's really emotional and exciting, you'll be more clear about, yeah, that's great, but it's just not the right season, or it's not quite the right thing for me. And it's hard to do that if you really don't know your vision. You could be swooped up by people at church. What are they doing? They're your age. They should be retiring. You should be retiring because they're retiring, or they're traveling, or they're going to 50 zillion retreats. You should be doing that because you're a certain age, or you should have this many kids. You should not have this many kids. I mean, it's kind of a social contagion. And I heard someone talking about a lot of times the number of kids people have, a lot of times depends on their environment. I think there's a lot of truth to that. When it's really I promote having kids, but when a lot of people are having kids, it's easier to want to have kids than if you're in an environment that's hostile to people having kids. It's easier not to. But the point is, what's your agenda? What do you want? What's God's will? I mean, that's even the better point. But that can sway you. Your own kids. Are you organizing things? I'm not saying responsible parenting. You want to abandon that, but I'm saying, are you going to soccer camps, or out of town, or this or that, or spending more money than is good, or not having a family dinner because you're catering to your kids? You don't they want to do this, so you're going to do that. So again, what is your mission? What is your theme of what you're doing? And is that what that kid wants to do or doesn't do, or the pressure they put on, or whatever? Is that moving the whole family and you and your kid, whatever, in that direction? Easy to get swayed. The list is endless. There are so many ways you can get hijacked into somebody else's agenda. The third point is, so we need to be grounded. Understand, if you don't have a good vision, you're going to be easily picked off on this. And number two, you need to really understand how many different agendas are at play. So, and who are those that could be hijacking yours? The third is, achieving big visions can feel daunting, but become impossible if you're following somebody else's agendas. And usually it's not just one person's agenda. If you don't have the grounding to recognize, okay, this is really what they want, it's not really what I want, in one area, you're probably doing it in more areas than just one. So, big example of this, spending more money than you need. I remember, I've mentioned I kind of like style and stuff, and I was working with someone, and I kind of like consignment shops, I like finding bargains. I don't like paying full price. I can't afford it. I kind of get satisfaction out of really finding some cool stuff for a great value. And this person I was working with just, no, you don't want to do that. That's, you don't like, I had somebody else say, well, you don't have time to shop. You don't like to shop. I actually do. or no, the consignment, that's just not going to work. And a lot of times it works with my personality because I like a lot of variety and stuff, so I don't need to have the Nordstrom suit, pants, I mean, just because I don't have to have that conformity, the whole set. I can put things together that I find at other places, and I find it fun. So whose agenda was it when I was spending way more money than I could afford to do it that way, when I'm finding actually another way that's more aligned with my agenda, that's more fun and achieving the goal? Putting stuff on your plate you don't even like or want because someone out there based on someone else's agenda leads to overwhelm. This gets back to having a hard time saying no. Whoa, could you be in charge of, when new people call in for the retreat or doing this? Great, if you have the bandwidth for it, and I'm all about service, but I'm strategic in my service. I look at, today I didn't used to be. Today I look at, okay, where is God calling me to serve now? Is it paid service or unpaid service? And I need to balance that. I can't have an enormous amount of unpaid service if I'm running a business and I need to be working in that business. I can have some, and I do need to have some, but then it gets more into what exactly is the right service. And it's really easy. Well, they need that, and you're good at that, and I like that organization. But is that your agenda? Or is that their agenda? They need to have that filled, and again, I'm not anti-service. I think it's important. I think people benefit from it. But is it the right thing for you? Is it the right way to serve for you? What's the best way? And that's your agenda. You will get overwhelmed quite quickly when you're not clarifying that and you're signing on for all these different things. To be a successful business owner with a holistic success, you have to remove the fat. You can't afford it. Again, business owners have so many different responsibilities that beyond just a normal person. The normal person, either they maybe stay home, they're married or whatever, or they go into a place and they have this, or if they're just kind of playing around with the business, but they don't really have targets they have to hit because it's kind of more of a hobby. That's a different thing. I mean, they can waste time. They can do things that are out of line. They won't really achieve their goals as well, but they're not going to be on the street, So where if you have an agenda that, look, this is a real business, I really need to work, you can't afford, especially early in your business when you're doing a lot of different things, you can't afford doing a ton of other stuff that are misaligned with what you need to do, because every yes to that is a no to something else. And if you're saying no to something that's essential, it's a problem, okay? So to conclude, business owners have a lot on their plates. Putting stuff on your plate you don't even like or want is not going to get you there. So this is just such an important thing. If you would like some help with this, I do this, I help people with this all the time. This is really the core of what I do because I'm all about vision. And the first thing I do is I help people really clarify their vision. So if you feel like that's something you could use some help with, I have a paid service called a Manifesting Your Vision session. If you'd like to set that up, just go to talkwithchristina.com. It'll walk you through the process. You can get on my calendar. It's a deep dive, high value time where we can sit down and I can help you really juggle not just the business, not just the money, or not just the personal, all of it. They all fit together, they all work together, and I'm really good at helping people sort all that out. So that's what we got for today. If you have a question in the future you'd like me to do a little video on, just reach out. LinkedIn, Christina Marie Weber, or Christian Biz Owners on Fire, or you can go to my website, Christian Biz Owners on Fire. Thanks so much.